The rain isn't just falling, it's attacking. Every drop is a cold, stinging pellet, turning the city streets into a slick, black mirror of indifference. Huddled in the shallow alcove of a closed bakery, a girl named Maya is trying to make herself smaller, to fold into herself until she disappears. She's 16, but the streets have a way of aging you, carving shadows under your eyes and stealing the light from them. The thin fabric of her hoodie is soaked through, clinging to her like a second, colder skin. She shivers, but it's not just from the cold. It's a bone-deep weariness that comes from being invisible, a ghost in a world bustling with life. A man in a warm coat rushes past, holding a small, colorful umbrella. Then another, and another. Each person is a blur, their faces turned away, their minds already home. Maya closes her eyes, a familiar burn of despair rising in her throat. This is it. This is her world. Just the rain, the cold, and the crushing weight of being alone. Then, a sound cuts through the storm. Footsteps, slowing down, stopping. She doesn't dare look up. Hope is a dangerous thing to have out here. Section 1. An unexpected offer. James hadn't meant to stop. He was on autopilot, his mind a checklist. Get home, start dinner, help his 9-year-old Lily with her math homework, and maybe, just maybe, find 10 minutes of silence for himself. He clutched his groceries, the rain plastering his hair to his forehead, despite the tiny unicorn-themed umbrella Lily had insisted he take. It was as he passed the bakery that he saw her, a small, huddled shape, trying so desperately to find shelter where there was none. He took a few more steps, a loud, rational voice screaming in his head. "Keep walking, James. It's not your problem. You've got your own to worry about." He thought of Lily, safe and warm at home, waiting for him. Bringing a stranger into their home, that was a risk he just couldn't take. But then, another voice, a quieter one, surfaced. It sounded an awful lot like his late wife, Sarah. "A little kindness costs nothing," she used to say, "but its value is immeasurable." He stopped. The rain dripped from the unicorn's horn right onto his shoes. He looked back. The girl hadn't moved. She looked so young, so profoundly alone. He thought about how cruel the world could be, how easily someone could fall through the cracks. To just ignore her felt wrong. It felt like being part of the cruelty. With a deep breath that did nothing to calm his racing heart, he turned around. He stood a few feet away, holding the ridiculous umbrella over her, blocking the worst of the rain. "Excuse me?" he said, his voice gentle. Maya flinched, her head snapping up. Her eyes were wide, filled with the fear and defiance of a cornered animal. She was bracing for the usual, to be yelled at, to be told to move along, to be treated like trash. I know this is forward," James stammered, feeling completely out of his depth. "And you have no reason to trust me. But it's not safe out here. It's freezing. I have a warm house and a spare room, just for the night. A hot meal, no questions asked." Maya just stared at him. Her mind was a battlefield. Every instinct, honed by months of survival, screamed at her to run. Trust was a luxury she couldn't afford. People didn't offer help without wanting something in return. "Why?" she asked, her voice raspy. It was a simple question, but it carried the weight of 1,000 betrayals. James met her gaze, hoping she could see he was for real. "Because my daughter is at home, warm and safe," he said honestly. "And I can't imagine her being out here alone. No one should be." He held out a hand, not to touch her, but as an open gesture. "I'm James. My daughter's Lily. We're just a few blocks away. You can have some food, get dry, and leave in the morning if you want. That's it." For a long moment, Maya searched his face for any sign of a lie, any hint of danger. All she saw was a tired-looking man with kind eyes, holding a silly umbrella. The rain was getting colder. Her stomach ached. She'd been strong for so long, but tonight, she was just tired. With a slow, hesitant nod, she allowed herself a flicker of that dangerous thing, hope. She pushed herself to her feet, her legs stiff and cold, and took a tentative step into the uncertain shelter of his offer. Section 2. the first cracks in the ice. The car ride was heavy, with a silence so thick you could feel it. Maya sat pressed against the passenger door, her body a fortress of self-preservation. James drove carefully, his knuckles white on the steering wheel, feeling her fear radiate in the small space. What had he just done? "We're almost there," he said, clearing his throat. "Lily will be excited. She, loves meeting new people." He immediately regretted it. A bubbly 9-year-old was probably the last thing this girl wanted to deal with. When they walked into the small, cozy house, the scent of cinnamon and warm laundry filled the air. A whirlwind of blonde hair and bright pajamas came bounding down the hall. "Dad, you're back. I was starting to think you got abducted by aliens. Did you get the cookie dough ice cream?" Lily stopped short when she saw Maya, who stood frozen in the entryway, dripping onto the mat. "Lily, this is a friend," James said carefully. "She's going to stay with us for a bit to get out of the storm." Lily's eyes, wide and curious, scanned Maya from head to toe. There was no judgment in her gaze, just a child's unfiltered wonder. "Wow," Lily breathed. "You're all wet. Are you a mermaid?" A ghost of a smile, so faint it was barely there, touched Maya's lips before vanishing. "No," she whispered. "Oh, well, you should take a hot shower," Lily declared with all the authority a 9-year-old could muster. "Dad makes the best hot chocolate. It fixes everything, even my bad spelling grade. Don't tell him I said that." James guided Maya to the guest bathroom, handing her a stack of clean towels and a set of his late wife's soft sweatpants and a t-shirt. "The water gets really hot," he said. "Take your time." An hour later, Maya emerged, her damp hair combed back, her small frame swallowed by the borrowed clothes. She looked even younger now, the harsh lines of the street softened by the warm light of the house. She found James and Lily in the kitchen, where a pot of soup was simmering. Lily was chattering away as she set 3 places at the small wooden table. Maya hovered in the doorway, an outsider looking in on a life she couldn't imagine. James simply smiled. "Come on, sit down. It's just vegetable soup, but it's warm." The meal was quiet at first. Maya ate with a desperate hunger, but was careful with her manners, as if one wrong move could get her thrown back out into the rain. Lily, sensing her nervousness, filled the silence, talking about her school, her pet hamster named Sir Reginald Fluffington, and her dream of being an astronaut baker. Maya just listened, her eyes on her bowl, but James saw the tension in her shoulders slowly start to melt away. That night, tucked into the clean sheets of the guest bed, Maya couldn't sleep. The quiet was deafening. The softness of the mattress felt wrong. For months, her bed had been cold concrete or a lumpy patch of grass. Safety felt like a foreign country she had snuck into. She lay awake for hours, listening to the unfamiliar sounds of the house, just waiting for the other shoe to drop. Section 3. A Song from the Past. Days bled into a week. Maya was still quiet, but small changes began to ripple through the house. She started helping with chores without being asked, washing dishes with a meticulous focus, folding laundry into perfect squares. It was her quiet way of earning her keep. James just thanked her with a warm smile, understanding that having a routine, a small sense of purpose, could be grounding. Lily quickly became Maya's shadow, following her around, showing her drawings, and confiding in her with the unfiltered honesty only a child has. Maya rarely said more than a few words, but she always listened, her expression soft and attentive as Lily detailed the complex social politics of the playground. A fragile bond was forming between them. One afternoon, James was in his home office trying to work when he heard it, a soft, melodic humming from the living room. He froze. It was a lullaby, a simple, haunting tune that he knew as well as his own heartbeat. "Go to sleep, my little star. The moon is watching from afar. Dream of skies and ships that sail. You are safe, and all is well." It was Sarah's lullaby, the one she sang to Lily every single night. the one James hadn't heard since she passed away. Grief is a funny thing. A sound, a smell, can make a loss that's years old feel like it happened yesterday. He walked slowly to the living room. Maya was on the floor, helping Lily build a tower of blocks. She was humming the tune unconsciously, completely focused on their game. Lily was humming along, a little off-key. Where did you learn that song? James asked, his voice thick with emotion. Maya looked up, startled, and the humming stopped. Her guard was instantly back up. I don't know, she said, her voice flat. It's just a song. I've always known it. My wife, James said, almost to himself. Her mother taught it to her. Maya's eyes flickered with something. Confusion? Recognition? But it was gone in a flash. It's a nice song, she mumbled, turning back to the blocks. Conversation over. James retreated to his office, his heart pounding. It had to be a coincidence. A strange, gut-wrenching coincidence. But the feeling that it was something more, a piece of a puzzle he didn't even know existed, took root in his mind and wouldn't let go. Who was this girl? Building trust with someone who has been let down by the world is a journey. It's built on the smallest acts of kindness and consistency. It's what outreach workers and compassionate people do every single day. And sometimes it leads to the most incredible stories of hope and reunion. If you've been moved by this story so far, do us a favor and hit that like button and subscribe. It really helps us continue to create content that highlights the power of human connection. Now, let's get back to the story and discover the truth that's about to change everything. Section 4. The Locket. The next few weeks passed in a delicate rhythm of cautious trust. Maya started to open up in small ways. She mentioned she liked to draw, so James bought her a sketchbook and charcoal pencils. She would spend hours lost in its pages, sketching the trees outside, the sleeping hamster, Lily's laughing face. Her art was filled with a quiet, aching beauty. One Saturday, a sense of normalcy had settled over the house. It almost felt like they were a family. James decided it was time to tackle a long overdue task, sorting through old photos. He pulled a large, dusty box from the top of the closet. What's all this? Lily asked, peering inside. Memories, James said with a sad smile. This is your mom, sweetie. He opened an album. Here was Sarah, as a teenager, laughing with friends. Sarah on their wedding day. Sarah, pregnant and glowing. Maya, who had been reading in the corner, looked over. Her curiosity piqued. James gestured for her to come closer. This is Sarah, he said softly. Maya knelt by the box, her eyes scanning the photos of the vibrant, smiling woman. James turned to a page from a family vacation taken more than a decade ago. It showed him and Sarah by a lake. Standing next to them was another woman, holding the hand of a small, dark-haired toddler. Who's that? Lily asked, pointing to the other woman. That's your Aunt Caroline, James said quietly. And that little girl? That's your cousin. He stared at the picture, a wave of old sadness washing over him. Caroline was Sarah's younger sister. She'd made some bad choices and fallen in with the wrong crowd. After Sarah passed away, Caroline and her daughter just vanished. He'd tried to find them for years, but the trail went cold, leaving a wound that never quite healed. Lily leaned in closer. She's pretty, she said. Then she pointed to something glinting at her aunt's neck. Hey, that necklace. It looks just like Maya's. Time stopped. James's head snapped from the photograph to Maya. Maya, who always wore a simple silver locket on a worn chain, tucked safely under her shirt. His voice was a whisper. Maya, your necklace. Can I see it? Maya froze, her hand flying to her chest, clutching the locket. It was the only thing she had left of her past. Her anchor in the storm. Showing it to anyone felt like tearing a piece of her soul out. Please, James said, his eyes pleading. He saw the terror on her face and softened his voice. It's okay. I need to see. Slowly, with trembling hands, Maya pulled the locket from under her shirt. It was old and tarnished, but it was identical to the one in the photograph. With shaking fingers, she worked the tiny clasp. It clicked open. Inside were two tiny, faded pictures. On one side, a young woman with a familiar, sad smile, Caroline. On the other, a tiny, bald baby. "That's my mom," Maya whispered, her voice cracking. "And that's me." James's breath caught in his throat. He reached for another album, his hand shaking so badly he could barely turn the pages. He found the photo he was looking for. Sarah, right after Lily was born. Around her neck was an identical locket. "They were a gift," James said, his voice thick with disbelief. "From their grandmother, Sarah and Caroline. They got identical lockets." He remembered Sarah telling him she'd put a baby picture of Lily and Caroline's so they would always have each other's daughters close to their hearts. He took a deep breath, his world tilting on its axis. He looked from the frightened, lost girl in front of him to the picture of the toddler by the lake. Those same dark, soulful eyes. "Maya," he said, his voice breaking. "Your mother was Carolyn. Sarah. Sarah was her sister." He let the words hang in the air, a truth so stunning it seemed to suck all the oxygen from the room. "Sarah was your aunt," he whispered, "and Lily is your cousin." Conclusion. A new beginning. Tears streamed down Maya's face, silent and hot. For the first time, they weren't tears of despair, but of overwhelming, earth-shattering release. Shock, disbelief, and underneath it all, a fragile seed of belonging. She looked from James's tear-filled eyes to Lily's confused but gentle face, and back to the photograph of the mother she barely remembered, standing next to a woman with her same smile. The whole story came tumbling out of her then. Memories of a mother who was always struggling, always running. Her mother's final, desperate words, "Find your family, find the stars." It was a cryptic reference to the lullaby, the only clue she'd had. After her mother was gone, she was swallowed by the system, eventually running away, convinced she was completely alone. James listened, his heart breaking and swelling all at once. He filled in the gaps, telling her about Sarah, about their frantic search for Caroline, about the family that had been waiting for her all along. In that moment, they stopped being a kind man and a homeless girl. They were uncle and niece. They were family. Lily, finally understanding, wrapped her arms around Maya's waist in a fierce hug. "You're my cousin," she sobbed happily. "You're home." Months later, the house is filled with a new kind of light. Laughter echoes in the hallways. Maya is no longer a ghost. Her cheeks have filled out, and her eyes, once haunted, now hold a spark of mischief. She and Lily are inseparable, sisters in every way that matters. She's back in school, her sketchbook now filled with vibrant colors, instead of just gray charcoal. The past still visits her in quiet moments, but now she doesn't face it alone. She has James to talk to, and Lily to make her laugh. One evening, as James tucks Lily into bed, he hears a familiar humming from down the hall. It's Maya singing the lullaby as she washes the dinner dishes. "Go to sleep, my little star. The moon is watching from afar." James smiles, a genuine soul-deep smile, knowing Sarah would be smiling too. His simple choice on that rainy night, to see a person instead of a problem, didn't just save a life, it restored a family. It brought his niece home. It's a stunning reminder that every person has a story, and sometimes, if you're brave enough to stop and listen, you might just find that their story is also a part of your own.